Welcome to the Art of Dispute. I am your host, Joe Orsak.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Minamyer.
And we agree on pretty much
absolutely nothing.
America, you're about to witness three total strangers.
A musician, an artist, and a business professional.
We brought them together to talk about a really hard subject that they had no clue what it was before they got here.
All in the hopes that we can teach you, America, that we can discuss the most controversial topics
without being jerks to each other. Imagine that. So stick around, watch the fireworks, because we're about to go live. Welcome to the Art of Dispute, the only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour. That's just how we roll. America, we have a problem. We got a problem, Chris. What's our problem?
Yes, we do. We like to refer to it as the zero to Nazi effect, which is the time it takes for someone to read your opinion online and go from zero to you're a Nazi. Now I'm going to go outside, kick your dog, burn your house down, and tell your whole family that they don't need to be on this earth.
Wow! They escalated quickly.
They get bad.
Yes, and that's what we're trying to solve here on the Art of Dispute. To show America that we can talk about the most contentious subjects without freaking out on each other and being jerks. And we've got a hot topic today. I didn't realize how hot this topic was. A friend of mine tagged me on Facebook in this conversation, and it was early on in the conversation, and when I saw the question, I'm like, oh, well, that's it. There's categories and why it goes the way it does, and what's the question? And then I read like 1,000 comments later, all these differing opinions, and I'm like, wow, this is definitely something we need to talk about on the show. So we are talking about today DWIs, DUIs that result in traffic fatalities. Should they be counted as murder? Should the person be charged with murder? That is a supercharged hot topic. Charged, y'all get it? Supercharged topic.
Stop.
Turbocharged stuff.
Okay, definitely I want to find out I'm going to be defended or going to be offended.
Yes, so I'm gonna introduce my guests, my awesome guests that we have here today. We've got a great panel of
Shameless plug.
super talent. Yes, we've got to make sure we get our shameless plugs in. So up first here to my left is Mr. Alexander VanFleet.
Thanks, Joe. It's great to be on here once again on the Art of Dispute. I believe it's my fourth time on the show. It's always a great honor to be invited and great to appear on here.
It's good to have you.
Like you said, thank you. My name's Alexander VanFleet. I am a kind of mixed media, multimedia artist.
And we can find your work at facebook.com/AVF Images.
Yep, that's my personal
It's going to be right
account.
there on the screen somewhere.
All my old social media stuff got hacked, so I'm running on my personal account right now. And I took a break from the art scene to do some personal work, and coming back in, I think a better person. And really, like I said, glad to be here, glad to be speaking on this topic.
Cool.
Mostly known for my photography and visual arts and art design. Also consider myself an entrepreneur and have several different projects in the works, from clothing companies to customized jewelry based on tarot and astrology.
All right.
So, kind of a spiritualist entrepreneur.
Right on.
Can't wait to hear
Like I
the
said, great to
funny
be
thing
here.
about it.
Yeah. I love these.
I know.
I did this just for me. I mean, it's like,
Well,
if it's actually a benefit in the show, I don't know. But I always thought it was great. It's just a way for me to know something funny about somebody. So.
We have
One-
to always have something to hold.
Yes, one funny thing that Alexander says here, one funny thing about him that most people don't know is one side of his body is bigger than the other. His left foot is a 9 and his right foot is an 8.5. So
Wow.
he's got one disproportionate side of the body
So
there.
when you go buy those 9s, you get an 8.5 in there.
Hey!
You know who's doing this, switching them out.
Yeah.
So how do you get more freedom, huh?
Yeah. All right, and so next up,
Wear sandals a lot.
wear sandals a lot.
Confused
Next
by
up,
Has he got big feet or small feet?
Miss Nanae Volle.
Nanae Volle.
Way off, man. You normally do pretty
Sorry
good.
about that.
Nanae?
Yes.
I've been saying Nanae.
Oh yeah, that's
Nanae.
better.
You ain't never seen Avatar, man. Come on.
Nanae. Got it. She's already famous, so I don't even need to mention stuff. So
You need it. You need it.
So she didn't give me a website, so just look for her on TV and in movies. I will throw out a shameless plug for you though. Best Actress 2018 Chinese International Film Festival.
Yes.
Wow.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for helping me. And actually, I've been working front camera since I was 5 years old, and that, like I said, I've been the TV personality for many years. Still, today here still making me nervous because it's an awesome show, and I don't know what's going on. What we're gonna talk about. I'm so excited about it.
You're welcome. Yeah.
We like to keep our guests on their toes.
I
One
felt that.
funny thing she says: as a TV personality, every 10 years, over 10 years, and work in front of a camera all my lifetime, I am very shy. She says she's
Can
a
you tell?
very
the same way though.
She's a very shy, and she's been on TV or in front of a TV camera for over 10 years, and she's a very shy person.
Do you believe it?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Yeah, see,
The
see,
camera.
see, she
Nobody
can
believes
tell
me either.
Yeah, honestly, I do a lot of work on the public. I can do speech and over million people. It's not a problem. But if you put me in a little like a social mixer, I would stay there just like don't know what to do. But people come to talk to me, I would be fine. But otherwise, I would just sit there and play my phone and drink my drink and if somebody would try to talk to me, I don't feel comfortable. I just have to look away. I said, don't come to me. Let go. Yes, shy.
We all have something, see?
Yeah.
We all have something.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. Mr. Russ Harmon,
Yes, sir.
you've been on a couple times now.
Welcome
It's
back,
my
man.
second time.
Yeah. Tatted and Torn Music.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they can find you pretty much anywhere with that, right?
Yes.
Facebook,
our
everywhere.
first album is on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that's.
What
anywhere
link?
we can stream.
What link are you gonna want right here that I'm gonna put on the screen?
Tatted and Torn Music on Facebook.
On Facebook?
is
All right.
our base of operations. But like I said, you can get on
Anywhere.
Google
That's
and
cool.
type in Tatted and Torn, and you're gonna find us somewhere, and you'll find our first album. We have a second album that's almost finished. It should be done with the mixes in about a month or so, and then masters take another couple months. But we'll have demos. We have a CD release party on either the 30th or 31st of May. It's the Thursday. I'm not 100% sure, but
Is that what we're gonna hear today? At the end of the show?
yes, sir. Well,
Yeah.
you'll hear one
Awesome.
version of it, but the version is electric on the album.
On the
But
CD, all right, yeah.
so yeah,
Very cool.
That's where we're at. Thank you.
Very cool. All right. One funny thing about Russ here, his hero is Al Bundy.
I used to have
Yes.
an uncle. He died a few
Marriage.
years back.
How do I get this show banned right there? So I started singing the theme song. Then we're gonna sue
Right, no,
us.
yeah.
And, never mind.
Don't let
Start
an
scratch
algorithm catch you.
that.
Reservative
Right,
privacy.
right.
The reason I say that, I used to have an uncle that was kind of the same demeanor. He would come home after 40 hours of work by Wednesday, and so it's like, hey, the dog died, and instead of getting mad, he'd be like, oh, what's for dinner?
Have you seen the TV show The Goldbergs?
No, I haven't.
No, it's based in the 80s, and like the dad is just always pissed off and has a favorite chair, and
It's that 70s show, but in the 80s.
right, it's a 70s show, but in the 80s. Yeah, it's Red Foreman. It's the Jewish version of that, the Mr. Goldberg. Yeah, and as soon as he walks through the door, his first thing he does is take off his pants, and he's in his underwear, and he goes to sit in his favorite chair, and he's like watching TV, and he's got his beer. I'm like, that was my dad. He did exactly that. Like, madness. I don't know what the point of that was, but well, I guess he's getting comfortable, so he's at home.
Yeah.
Warp your child for the rest of his life, that's fine, but...
As long as it doesn't bother you after work.
Right?
It's a bit of a nudity.
So, we've got a hot topic here, guys, and now I'm going to ask you guys, give me like a 1 minute, what's your take on this? I'll give you the question again, and then we'll go around and you guys all give us your thoughts. DWIs, DUIs, if the person causes a traffic fatality, should they be charged with murder?
Whoa, dude, what a great question. Yes, I thought so myself. I cannot wait to hear what they're going to say next. Me either.
How much does it cost you to watch TV? The average household pays between $100 and $150 every month. Finally fed up with the rising cost of cable and satellite? Cut the cord and start watching the channels you want at a fraction of the cost. With IXQ TV, you'll have access to thousands of live TV channels, including sports, movies, news, premium networks, kids channels, and even local channels for as low as $39 a month. Stream in HD on your TV, tablet, phone, or even computer with multiple devices streaming at the same time. IXQ TV requires no contracts or credit checks, no installation or cancellation fees, no bogus surcharges or hidden fees. $39 a month means $39 a month. Say goodbye to high cable bills forever. Visit mycablebillstinks.com today.
DWIs, DUIs, if a person causes a traffic fatality, should they be charged with murder? Right now, it's just an involuntary manslaughter kind of a charge. Should that be up to murder?
Thanks, Joe. This is really a personal topic for me, just coming from a background of dealing with addiction and alcoholism and being in recovery myself and having been in school for psychology and counseling. And personally, really recently lost a close friend of mine that was a model of mine, and just a really close friend, that's actually why I'm wearing this shirt today, who passed away from drug and alcohol related reasons. But also, like, I've seen people that go out and drive and don't come back. And I see both sides of it, but ultimately for me, from a legal standpoint, coming
murder,
from the
yes,
son of two lawyers, I don't believe it's murder. Like, it should stay where it is of manslaughter one. The difference between murder and manslaughter is the intention. Nobody gets in the car drunk thinking like, I'm gonna take somebody else's life.
Okay.
Or at least I hope not.
Questions for you, Nanae?
For me, this question probably, if I talk about, got a little bit emotionally, because a week ago, I do have a neighbor, also is a best friend of us. His son is 16 years old, young man, just got killed from a car accident. Somebody hit it, exactly drunk and hit it. So how sad
That's
you will
terrible.
think about the life will not be the same. The family will be sad all the life, and 16 years old, imagine that just the life just started. So probably, like I'm in Chinese, okay? In Chinese, all the freeway you can see they have a sign that say, drunk and drive considered criminal. Okay, so if we will try those kind of way to stop people to do this kind of thing, because that's dangerous. That could be the reason to kill people. So if the law can have something says make this more strictly for people drunk and drive, like you consider with murder, sounds very scary, right? But probably less people will do that. That's why I think it would be yes.
Okay. All right. Russ?
Yes or no answer is kind of craziness. I mean, it's legal to drive at .089. .089 for a 16-year-old might mean they're slaughtered. So they might get behind the wheel thinking I'm completely legal, and then they kill someone, murder. No, not the first time. It's perfect how it is. I actually was in Harris County with someone who had taken someone's life, and it was completely unintentional, and that person was on a suicide watch. I mean, there was nothing you can do to him to make him feel any worse. Now, you do it 2 or 3 times and you're already aware that you're going to black out, you're the type of person that's going to drink and hurt somebody.
Case by case thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's got to be a case by case, but it should never be intentionally murder if you don't think that. Now,
Let me ask
going
you
to
this.
jail for the rest of your life because you've done it twice is completely acceptable. If you get manslaughter twice for the same thing, be it black and white murder or black and white 2 felonies of manslaughter and reckless endangerment, I mean, you can throw all kind of felonies on top of that. Yeah, you need to be set away.
Let me ask you this. When we were discussing the topics before the show, you made me think of this, and you just reminded me of it again because you kind of touched on it. Repeat offenders account for 1/3 of all the drivers arrested. Right? Repeat offenders, people that are convicted of driving under the influence, right? So 1/3 of all of these people that are stopped are repeat offenders, right? If they've been confronted by the law
For DWI
For
or
DWIs.
DUI in general?
DWI, DUIs,
Okay.
right?
Just clarifying,
yeah,
not
yeah.
the manslaughter.
Right, no, yeah. 1/3 of all the people that are stopped for DWIs are repeat offenders, right? If they've been confronted by the law already, multiple times, right, they're a repeat offender, right, 1/3 of them. If that group of people has already been confronted by the law saying you've got an issue of getting behind the wheel and driving while intoxicated, which is a life-threatening situation, right? If they then cause an accident that causes a fatality, have they not demonstrated a repeat negligence?
I think there's already pretty much law stating that where if you already 3 DUIs, you're out. 2 DUIs, you're going to serve jail time, and I'm sure if
Yeah.
you already got a DUI and then you add a felony, where someone gets hurt, then especially
So,
if you're doing a jury trial,
to
then
clarify-
that's pretty much already mandated that you're going to do some time.
To clarify, you're right, absolutely right, you'll do time. Where I was going with that thought, and I was trying to keep it short this time, and I didn't clarify, was that one of the issues with murder is in how murders are ranked or related is if you're committing a felony and take somebody's life, that escalates the charge, right? So if you're a repeat DWI, DUI offender, you're escalating the charge now, you're committing a higher degree of crime.
But there's still a leap from unintentional to intentional. If you're not setting out to kill somebody, it's just black and white. It's not murder. It's it's manslaughter.
How much intention is required?
Right, so I'm thinking if you compare inanimate object to inanimate object, so you say a car is more dangerous than a gun, statistically, right? Kills way more people a year. Then if you're drunk and you shoot somebody, is it on accident? Is that considered murder? Is that considered manslaughter? So, I mean, just bringing it to inanimate object, and killing somebody, I mean, to me, it's murder. You shot somebody, you used your car and ran somebody over, and you got drunk because you felt like it was okay to get behind that wheel. Everybody knows that you can kill somebody.
Well, here's the fun thing, Chris. That's a great question, and we're going to have to answer it when we come back from break. Because time flies when you're having fun. Oh my gosh. So when we come back, you guys get, a little time to dwell on that question. He's comparing, that's a good question. He's comparing, if you get drunk while you've got a gun and you shoot somebody, is that murder? Versus if you're drunk and you get in a car and you kill somebody, is that murder? Or what's the difference between the two? So y'all get some time to dwell on that thought. We're going to have a break. We got to take a break and let our sponsors pay for the lights and the booze. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. great topic that we've been having fun with. I mean, we've had all kind of conversations during the break. We've talked about tattoos and religion, and that's all kind of fun. And it's only been a minute. I mean, we had a lot of fun. So.
We've had 1,000 topics already, right?
Yeah, we've had quite a few topics already. Which, by the way, shout out to our sponsors. Yeah, we've got some great sponsors on the show. The Grain Cellar. We always like to say thank you to the Grain Cellar out in Humble, Texas, for providing all of the lovely drinks that we have on our show. Which, if you ever want to learn how to make your own beer or your own wine or even your own cheese, they teach all the classes. They have all the materials, everything you ever wanted. And Preston, the guy that owns the place, is phenomenal. Really cool guy.
Truly.
Neat stuff. So awesome stuff there. MyCableBillStinks.com. Yeah, that's an awesome one. And brand new sponsor, Scott Davenport, law attorney, accident attorney. Really cool stuff. I made the commercial, by the way. Y'all should see it. I think it's pretty awesome. If I must say so myself. But it's a very appropriate sponsor for the show. It's a car accident because he's an accident attorney, that type of thing.
So this just reminds me drunk in the drive. So
right.
The alcohol company.
Everybody can call Uber. It's okay.
So we don't drive after this,
right?
Right. Do not
if you
drive.
don't, we have an attorney for you.
Right.
If you do choose, we have an attorney for that too.
Yes. And don't forget that one of the businesses that I own is 24/7 bail bonds. So if you get arrested and you're in jail and you need to get out, I can help y'all with that. So,
so that means try to make you guess to talk crazy after drink. That's a sponsor do it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So before we left for the break, we had a good question. Chris actually asked a question, and he was comparing. He said, if you are drinking and you have a gun, and you shoot somebody, that's murder. Why isn't drinking and getting in a car murder? There's actually more accidents that occur every year by cars, more fatalities that occur with cars than are with guns. So that's a pretty significant deal, right? Every 50 minutes, somebody dies from an alcohol-related car accident.
Yeah, I've seen it myself several
Yeah, he's a paramedic, so so he deals with it a lot. So to his question, how do you guys feel about that? Comparing the two inanimate objects, the gun and the
I'd
car.
like to voice an opinion real
Jump
fast. If you're drunk and you accidentally shoot somebody, I don't even believe that's murder. I think that still falls under
Involuntary manslaughter.
manslaughter.
Probably right.
Just it depends how you're driving or how you're drunk.
Yeah, it's a case by case thing. Yeah.
You get drunk and you go over to your neighbor's house and shoot them because their dog's barking.
Then you got a murder charge.
Hey!
So that's why exactly I think people should put this criminal as like a murder if you drunk and kill somebody. Somebody could have intended to do that because he said I just drunk because I want to kill somebody, right? What depends. But if we were talking about it, just accident happened on the street, like they didn't make it a plan to do that. It's like he said he didn't set up for the killing. So if that makes these criminal things less responsibility, or
Yeah. So when it comes to murder, intent is a big part of it, right? Mm-hmm. With malice and forethought, that's murder, and so that's where presently, if you drink, drive, and kill somebody, it's not considered with malice and forethought.
So what exactly the U.S. law would do if people they just put them in jail? Basically?
Yeah, so they're still going to do jail time.
That's what I actually had the same question. When does capital punishment step in? For murder charges.
That's definitely a higher degree of murder.
There's a triangle, at least in the military. We had to go through the anti-terrorism school went to. It's almost like a fire triangle. You have to have fuel, flame, and oxygen, or there's not a murder. And it's almost the exact way with the kill switch. You have to have intent, opportunity, and capability. So even if you see somebody with a sniper rifle you can't shoot them unless they bring it up and intend to hurt somebody. And that's even in combat zones. So if you take that reality and put it to here, unless you meet all three of those, it's just not murder. I mean, but then again, you know, case by case, intent, capability, and opportunity, whatever. If you understand that you are the type of person that is going to black out and probably end up hurting somebody, and you've already had that happen, so that, you know, that's already been punched in your brain, and then you get out there, second time you go to court's not going to be so lenient on you to say, okay, you made a mistake, you go do 4 years. They're probably going to be like,
See,
you know,
this
you
is-
need to do 15 to 20 years.
This is what I was asking about earlier. This is, you know, I understand, because it was my first reaction too when I was asked this question. I'm like, we have involuntary manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, criminal manslaughter, murder, second degree murder, third degree, all these ranks, right?
That's
And
a lot of them.
yeah, and it's all based on what kind of actions you put into play beforehand, right? The more you planned it, the more you know, forethought, the more you put, you know, together. It's like you go to a store and you have a firearm and your intent is to rob the store, right? You're committing a crime. You shoot somebody. So that wasn't, I didn't go to the store planning to kill that guy. But I did go to the store while committing a felony, armed robbery, and so that's a certain degree of murder.
And
right?
you meet all three of those
Right.
things.
Now, if I say, you know what, I found out 2 months ago that my wife is cheating on me, and I know who this guy is, and so for 2 months I get together, you know, the duct tape and the rope and, you know, and all this stuff, and I kidnap him and I take him out into the woods
You might
and I
wanna
shoot
seek
him.
therapy, bro.
That's a much higher degree of murder because I thought about it
You
and I planned it
yeah.
and I put it into action. Right?
Texas has a really good.
So you know, I'm being long-winded now, but to bring it all back to play, into the 1/3 of all people that are stopped for DWIs, that get DWIs, are people that have been caught before with DWIs, right? So to me, the court sits in that situation and says, look, you are committing a life-threatening action by getting behind the wheel. This is your first time, so the penalty's less. You're going to have to do X number of hours in community service. You've got to do all, they make you all go through all kind
You
of
still
stuff.
do some jail
right?
time, and you should.
Yeah, right. So, but it's lighter. But now you get out a second time and you're driving again under the influence, right? To me, there's forethought, and you've already been warned. It's already been explained to you. This is a life-threatening thing that you were doing. It's not the first time anymore, right?
Okay.
And now that causes a fatality. Should that not be a higher degree of punishment, a higher degree
Well,
of...
I have an
reasonable,
opinion
yeah.
on both these questions, and actually an extra question to throw in there. And this is, you know, I think a mini topic within the topic of, you know, if, you know, on gun control and in general of like, should there be stricter gun control? And, you know, the difference is like that gun's in your hand. And I want to highlight what Joe said, my bad brother, about, you know, the intent of malice, the emotion behind it. You know, if somebody's blacked out and unconscious and they swerve their car into another car and take that person out, that's not a consciousness. If somebody's, you know, drunk and shoots somebody, they're at least standing and conscious. They may not be in an altered state, but there's usually some malice involved in it. The other question I have is like taking out the alcohol question from the original topic of like, if somebody's driving and texting or just distracted or just a bad driver, you know, say the mom's trying to hush the baby in the back seat and like hits another car or takes out a pedestrian, is that murder? And I really do believe that the main highlight I want to make there is that intent of malice, the emotion behind it. Because there's obviously the intellectual question, because, you know, alcohol, other substances can impair your clarity of thought, but the emotion behind it of, am I going out with Is this an act of emotion or is this an act of carelessness?
Dude! Good question, bro.
Oh man, it's getting good.
I wonder what they're gonna say.
Is this an act of emotion or is this an act of carelessness?
But I think, I know a little bit about the Chinese law. Is if you kill somebody, it doesn't matter you intended or you accidentally kill somebody, the result probably will be the same. You still consider it be murder, or you either intended to murder somebody or you just accidentally murder or kill somebody. And the law says you kill somebody, you just have to be killed or be in the jail in your whole life. This is the Chinese law will treat this kind of treatment. We do have a Chinese saying, say, 杀人偿命. This is Chinese, okay? Which means if you kill
I definitely
somebody,
gathered that it wasn't English.
okay, this definitely means if you kill somebody, you have to use your life to repay payback. The result is the same. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think Texas has a pretty good stance. You mentioned if you catch your spouse cheating on you and you decide to plot and kill this person, correct? I think Texas has a pretty clear law on that with the crime of passion thing, where if you walk in and you catch your lover.
Well, there's definitely a difference. Crime of passion versus.
You can shoot him and the lover, and it's considered a crime of passion.
It's still a crime.
Yeah.
But
it's just charged
murder.
different.
Yeah, it's and that's.
If I walk in and catch the wife cheating and shoot them both, that versus I found out and now I plan it for 2 months. I kidnap the guy and take him out into the woods, that kind of thing. There's definitely a different rating
that
between
definitely
the two.
fits with the getting drunk and waving a firearm.
I don't know if I like all these different definitions, man.
Well, you gotta have them because everything is a different situation.
Yeah, but it's all in who presents it.
I mean, you didn't even get in trouble for killing people up until a few hundred years ago. We used to kill each other all the damn time.
Yeah,
that's why we have a space program.
Duels.
We kill each other. And we got to figure out better ways to kill each other. That's how we got to the moon.
Todd Riddle from our group said it comes down to intent. If he or she gets drunk and intended to run you over, then yes, it's murder. But if the intent was bad judgment, then I wouldn't call it murder, more like involuntary manslaughter or vehicular manslaughter. Yeah. And that is how it's presently ranked.
Drink and you drove to the place you were going to drink at.
Yeah. and so that kind of comes back to, with malice and forethought, right? Forethought to me this is the sticking point. Malice, there's no way for me to make the argument, right? Just drinking and being a moron, there's no malice involved in saying, I hate this person and that's why I killed him, right? But forethought definitely for me is in there, especially if you're the 1/3 who has already been caught before and you've went through the legal process and you know you have a problem, right? Or at least you know that you have enough of a problem that you weren't sharp enough to not get behind the wheel, right? And so you've had warnings. You've already been presented with it. Now if you get behind the wheel again and that leads to a fatality, I do think that should be treated differently than a first-time person. A kind a nuance of your point.
Yeah,
right.
I couldn't.
The
agree
first
more. I
time
couldn't
the
agree
person
more.
gets caught with a DWI, I mean, I've been a teenager. I guarantee I've been behind the wheel before when I shouldn't have been. Right, at some point in my life.
We all have.
Right, and so I've certainly done something stupid enough in my life like that. Right.
Yeah, I already got one, so.
So you know, if that then happens again, now you're repeating the problem, and that leads to a fatality. I definitely think there should be some more a higher degree of
And
punishment.
again, I mean, it's all-
Is it murder? I don't know, but
I got a DUI in Colorado. No, that DUI was definitely deserved. Now, I wasn't going to kill anyone. I wasn't blackout drunk, but that was a DUI I deserved. But I also got a DUI, and the charges were later dropped because I had pot in my system and pot in the car. So if someone gets a DUI and that's just brought out in court but not explained, then how do you treat that person the exact same way as someone who got a DUI and ran into a building because they were smashed? I mean, there's so many different, you
I
know.
like the case by case thing too. But
Yeah,
there seems to
gotta
be
The issue with
way
the-
too many-
the case by case thing is, you know, this comes up in a lot of different ways. They said, well, you know, it's because of race. This person got a tougher punishment or a lighter punishment, right? And in the vast majority of those situations, I always disagree. And people get upset with me about that. But I said the reality is it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with socioeconomic considerations. The person who has money can afford the attorney, and they get off. I used to laugh about the OJ case. I said the biggest thing about the OJ case was it established the price of a very public murder, right? I'm like, all right, well, at least now I know if I'm famous and want to kill somebody, it runs me about $5 million, right? Because that's the cost of the legal team,
If that's what you saw.
right? Sure.
Whatever happened at the table.
Right? So it's similar in that when you go to court, if you can afford the big legal team, and they can question every single little nuance,
That's kind of what I was
then
saying
the
earlier,
punishment, it doesn't matter. You know, like the crime, the charge doesn't matter because you have the money to defend and argue against every little nuance, and
you shine different light on it from different angles.
Right.
Anything looks brand new.
exactly, you know.
I do
So-
kind of want to make the point
Go
of
ahead.
like with that example and like the difference between murder and manslaughter is having a target. Whether that target is like premeditated or not, in that moment that person had that thought and it was an intentional action. And you know, without it, you know, it is unintentional. And it's intent or unintentional.
My thought behind it is if you know that you can be charged with murder for drinking and driving, you can potentially decrease. So
I do agree with like the
decrease the
preventative
people.
properties of
Right.
it, but you know, the idea of it being
Consequences.
charged with murder, you know, versus you know, manslaughter.
This is a good timing on what you're saying. Jessie Kern in the group asked, she said, do you think this should be the case too for those who are convicted of murder just because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time? For example, they didn't actually commit or partake in any crime, but they were just there when the crime occurred. They get charged with murder because they were an accessory to murder, right? Just because they were present, right?
I didn't know that.
Right.
I wouldn't-
No, it's considered like an accessory to murder.
Like
That's
that.
like my example.
Right.
I have a really close family friend that was like secondary family to me that, you know, her son is actually out in Huntsville right now for something related to that of he was the getaway driver and
Oh, wow.
you know, the people that were his accomplices shot a bunch of people and he wasn't
Oh,
aware
dang.
of that and he's still out in Huntsville, you know.
Well, that's.
An accessory.
That should be an
charged with
accessory to
So that's
murder,
kind
I
of what
think.
she's getting at. So it's like the person didn't have a target, right?
Right.
So, but yet they're still.
They know what's
They
up.
did have criminal intent, but they didn't commit the murder themselves.
So we had another question. I think this is a very timely one.
Well,
Clay
yeah.
Goodwin said, my question would be, is changing the charge or sentencing motivated by a desire to be more punitive or more preventative? So are we wanting to see more punishment, or are we wanting to see more prevention?
Well, and I also kind of want to make the comment off that comment of the family.
And we got to wrap up. We have 2 minutes.
The family of the driver.
last
Like,
bit.
if the family of the driver sees their child or someone take somebody else's life and knows it was unintentional and they also receive all that hate and that resentment and that,
Certainly. Valid point.
seek of justice. And, the fact of the matter with any incident like this is it tears people's lives apart. And, whether it's consequences or the charge or the punishment, it's like people that are doing these acts of like intoxicated driving and take somebody's life aren't thinking about those. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about, I want what I want when I want it, and taking that risk and not being conscious of that consequence or
Nanae.
possible
I think-
Closing thought, Nanae, take us home.
Yeah, I just almost convinced about all you guys. You guys are good speaker, right? Anyways, for these opinions. We talking about the punishment. Just like we buy insurance, if nothing happens, you think, why I need to spend that money? But this accident, if this thing happens to you, you will wish the punishment be heavier.
Mm-hmm.
So if nothing happens to you, you will think, wow, I don't care much, if you punish it or not, or we just talk.
Yeah.
So I think, if somebody in the situation, you definitely want the punishment to be a little bit tougher.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very true. Well, this is as always, we'll never talk out all the points during this show. It's so much more to it, which is why we've got a group, and you should join the group and hop over there, because this very topic is blowing up right now on our group page.
People to hate on Facebook.
That's right. Hey, look.
I noted civilly.
We have civil disagreement 24/7. The Art of Dispute, look us up on Facebook.
Argue with on
Almost the
Facebook.
one side, y'all go other side. Who's my team?
No, you had some great points. So
What are you talking about? You're in the middle.
yeah.
I see the right person.
Queen is in the middle.
position.
So we're about to hear
Yeah.
we're about to hear some great music from Russ here. So Russ, you tell us what you're about to play, where we can find it, and take it away.
Hey, this is Russ and Tommy from Tatted and Torn. This is our first album. We're about to put out our second one. It'll be out in a few months. Our Tatted and Torn music on Facebook is where you can find all our links. We're on Spotify, YouTube, everywhere else. We got a show coming out at the end of May to promote the second album. With no further ado, we're going to jam an acoustic version of Walk and Don't Walk. You'll hear some type of version on this pretty soon. So here we go. Standing on the corner, walk and don't walk. The water's in my body, so I foam when I talk, man. I can see the suits just crossing the street, like it's easy for them, but it's hell for me. Got 3 days grace and 4 days till I'm clean. Jack's in the back with the needle and spoon, waiting on the blue blood to turn maroon. I can smell the smell wafting down the hall. The reapers and hoods in the bathroom stalls. They wanna come down, so don't catch me if I fall.
and don't walk. No water's in my body, so I foam when I talk, man. I can see the suits just crossing the street, like it's easy for them, but it's hell for me. Got 3 days grace and 4 days till I'm clean. Thanks.
Yeah! Woo!
Great job.
Way to
man.
go, bro.
Awesome.
Rock and roll. Love it, love it, love it.
Great
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Another
Sure.
great show, another great performance. Great job. Where can they find that stuff again? Sean, just tell everybody know.
Tatted and Torn Music on Facebook or anywhere they sell music. Just type in Tatted and Torn, you'll find us.
Tatted and Torn. Definitely check it out. Make sure you hop on the YouTube channel. It's been blowing up. I mean, like blowing up. Crazy. We've had some amazing talent. Maddox Studios in the house doing all of our sound work and dropping some great performers on. Make sure you check out the other music videos over there. Awesome. We'll be back next week with another great show and some more mad talent. See y'all then.